Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Annual Compensation Reporting webinar. I am Kristen Silva with Enrollment Eligibility Services, and I will be your main presenter today. There is also a team supporting me. We will work through this together to make sure the information we review is informative and helpful to complete your ACR with confidence. Before we get started, I want to mention that everyone will be muted during the presentation. There will be a Q&A at the end. Please use the Q&A feature, which is located at the bottom of your screen, to ask any questions. This webinar will be recorded and an email will be sent on December 4th with a link to the recording. So now we are going to launch an audience poll. Please answer the question that appears on your screen to tell us what you think. Thank you for your responses. It looks like about half of you used the tool from last year, so this should just be a refresher and hopefully an opportunity to learn something new. And it looks like the other half of you haven't used the tool or unsure, so I hope that you find this webinar and tool demonstration helpful. All right, so a brief agenda of the items we will cover today. I will talk about why ACRs are important and this year's timeline. I will spend the majority of time talking about the tool, how to get into it, as well as a live demo. Outline a few key changes along with resources that are available to you, and lastly, provide time for your questions to be answered. I'll feel like we met our goals today if you have a great overview of how to use the tool and the resources that are available to you. So let's talk about why ACRs are important. Concordia Plans uses the ACR to calculate your organization's contributions for the retirement plan and the disability and survivor plan. It is also used to determine disability, death, and retirement benefits for your workers, as well as create an accurate personal statement of benefits. There are a few important dates I'd like to go over. On October 15th, we mailed paper forms to those employers not registered on the portal. A link to the ACR tool was made available to employers on November 2nd. And in order for your ACR to be included on the February invoice, it must be completed by December 29th. Invoices for February will be mailed on January 7th, and any adjustments will be applied for January. So we made changes because we listened to your feedback. Here are some of those changes, which we will touch on in more detail when we get into the live demo. But just so you're aware of them, the information that appears in the tool is live data. Scheduled hours will default from 2020 to 2021. You are still able to make changes to the hours if necessary. The overall compensation reported will be listed at the bottom of your list of workers. And we are requesting you to indicate the total workers, whether full-time or part-time, that you employ. So to access the ACR tool, you will first need to log in to your employer portal. To do this, visit concordiaplans.org/myaccount. From there, you will enter your email and password. And then once logged in, you will come to your dashboard, which you see here. On the blue banner to the far left, you will find quick links, circled there in yellow. And then under the quick links tab, you will simply click on Online ACR Tool. All right, so now we're going to get into the ACR tool to do the demo. So after you've logged in and followed the link to the ACR tool, you will be taken to this welcome page, which will look very similar to what you see on my screen. This page greets you by name and provides a brief message about ACRs. One thing to note is that I am in staging, so you are seeing this in bold red letters at the top. This just means that I'm on a test side of this application. It is for testing purposes. I have the opportunity to see all employers, and it contains some fictional names and salaries. But once you're in there, you will be in the live version, so you will see the ACR just for your ministry. If you need help at any time, you will always see a help button here in the top right. If you select that, it will take you to our toll-free number and email address. And if you click here, blue, you will be taken to our annual compensation reports webpage, where you'll find helpful resources and information. And one other thing I'd like to note is that where you see search for employer on my screen, it will simply list your employer's name. Or if you are an administrator for multiple employers, there will be a list of employers that you administer for. But since I'm in a testing environment and have access to lots of data, I will put in an employer number to pull up for our demonstration. Give this a second here. Thank you. All right. So once you select your employer name, you will move on to this instructional screen. On this screen, you will find some important information on what you can do in this tool and what should be done in the benefits administration system. So over here to the left, actions you can take in the tool. You can change hours and salary. You can indicate no changes for individuals or the whole group by selecting Use 2020 Values. And if someone is no longer eligible for benefits, you can tell us that too. And then some things you should do in the benefit administration system include if you have a new hire to report, if you want to change a name due to marriage, or change a worker's hours and salary for 2020. There are also a few additional items to pay attention to before you begin. Plan provisions state any worker hired to work more than 20 hours per week and more than 5 consecutive months is eligible for coverage through the retirement plan and the disability and survivor plan. I also want to point out when you should report your ACR, say if your fiscal year is not based on a calendar year, you should still report salaries in effect on January 1. If your fiscal salary increases occur for, let's say, August 2021, you would report those changes on the 2022 ACR. And workers on disability are indicated by this icon, blue clipboard. Please keep in mind any changes made to those workers will be updated once they return to work. Also, those on disability waiver will not appear on your list, so no updates are needed. And then also, files will be sent once a week for processing in the benefits administration system on Thursdays. And also, once you submit your ACR, you are no longer able to make changes, and we ask that you contact us for further assistance. Okay, and right below there, reporting your annual compensation, it can be done in 3 easy steps. First, by updating, then reviewing those updates, and lastly, submitting those updates. All right, and to move on to the next screen from here, you would simply just click this blue box labeled Continue. All right, so after you click Continue, you'll come to the Update screen. At the top, you'll notice a list of actions you can take. You can make changes to a worker's compensation and/or hours. You can use 2020 values for individuals. You can indicate a worker terminated or had a reduction in hours. And you can use 2020 values for all workers. And in the top blue banner, there are 2 buttons, Show Me How and Videos. And I'll go into those in further detail later in our demonstration. All right, and you can also tell which step you are on in the process with this tracker here in the middle. So this is just letting us know that we're currently on update. And some other things that I'd like to direct your attention to, there is a print button here, which allows you to preview and print your ACR before, during, or after any updates. This print button will be available as you move throughout each step. And please note that the preferred browser for printing is Google Chrome. And to the right of the print button, you'll see this box outlined in blue. This is one of the changes that we touched on earlier. We are requesting you to indicate the number of full-time and part-time workers you employ, regardless of eligibility status as it pertains to Concordia plans. This information will be used to calculate your ministry's eligibility to apply for particular benefits such as the Medicare small employer exception. So in this box labeled total employees, you'll enter the number of part-time and full-time employees. Or if you would prefer not to answer, that's okay too. You can just tell us that by checking the box. And please note that this is a required field, so it needs to be answered before we can continue on to the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and indicate that there are 8 full-time and part-time employees. All right, and below that, we have our column headers. Those mimic our paper ACR forms. Those are ACR year, worker hours, base salary, housing provided, housing allowance, utility allowance, and total compensation. So if you hover over the information button next to each column header and click it, a note will pop up that displays its definition. And here, just a definition for utility allowance. But if you'd rather just see those definitions simultaneously, you can click on what do these mean right here. And those just give you all the definitions at one time. All right, and within your list of workers, you'll see that there's a scroll bar here to the right that just allows you to move up and down the list with ease. And at the bottom here, you'll see running totals for all columns. There is also a save button here in the lower right-hand corner. It is important to save your work periodically, and especially if you need to step away for a while. Once you return, you will be taken back to where you left off. All right, so before we start demonstrating how to update this list of workers, I want to mention again that this is a test system, and any updates made will not be saved, nor are these actual names or salaries. So let's say that you don't have any changes to report for 2021 for any of your workers. You would indicate that by selecting Use 2020 Values for all workers, which is located directly under the column headers. After you check that box, you'll see that the Use 2020 Values will be checked for each worker, and the salaries from 2020 will be populated in the 2021 row. All right, so starting at the top of our list for Gilberto, he is going to work the same hours and receive the same salary as in 2020. So to indicate this, I'm going to simply click on Use 2020 Values. And then now you'll see that the 2020 row is updated with the same salary from 2020, and that the hours have remained unchanged. And then you'll also notice that the total compensation is calculated for you. All right, so moving on to Jennifer. Now, I also want to point out, you'll notice that as I moved on to this worker, her name became highlighted in blue. This just makes it easier to see which worker you're updating. All right, so for 2021, Jennifer is going to have a change to hours and salary. So we're going to say Jennifer's decreasing her hours to 35. So under 35 in the hours. And then salary is changing to 45,000. So you'll enter that there in base salary. And then all the other fields will just remain 0. And then once again, the total compensation is calculated for you. So moving on to the next worker, Silonius, let's say he's no longer eligible because he will be resigning. To indicate this, click on the benefits and eligible box. You will then see a new row pop up, which is prompting me to enter an effective date and a reason. So last day of work is going to be December 31st, 2020. So enter 12/31/2020. And then the reason would be no longer works here. All right, so by entering that date, the tool recognized an error in the hours field. Any errors, which are always outlined in red, will need to be corrected before you can save the update. So this error is telling me that the field should be 0 based on the worker's benefits and eligible effective date. So we'll go ahead and change the hours to 0. So if you've been working in the tool for a while, you may see this pop up here. It's just a reminder that it's time to save so you don't lose any of the information that you have entered. So by clicking continue working here in blue, and then you would just go ahead and click save. And then up top here in green, it'll tell you that your changes have been saved. Okay, so moving on to Dave. For 2021, Dave is also going to have a change to hours and salary. So Dave is going to increase hours to 35. So enter 35. And then the new base salary will be 27,000. And then you'll also notice here the hours is outlined in yellow. Those are just warning messages. They're intended to draw your attention to the numbers. Those do not have to be corrected before saving any updates. All right, so now that we've updated the hours and base salary, the housing provided, that's going to be changed to, let's say, 5,500. And you'll notice when I put in that value, it drew another error message, so that will have to be corrected before I can save the update. And this error message is telling me that the housing provided should be 25% of the base salary. And then it also gives me the correct amount. And we'll keep the housing allowance 0, and then the utility allowance the same, so $1,833. And then my total compensation calculated. And so for the remainder 2 workers, they're not going to have any changes to salary, so we're going to go ahead and select use 2020 values. Right, and then you'll notice at the bottom here that our totals have been calculated for base salary, housing provided, housing allowance, utility allowance, and then the total overall compensation. So while you're updating your list, if you're feeling stuck and need a little help figuring out what to do, you can go ahead and click on the Show Me How button. And here you will be guided step by step through updating a worker's salary or removing benefits eligibility. This just basically shows you what to do and where to do it. So let's go ahead and look at updating a worker's salary. All right, so this circle popped up here outlined in orange. It says looking for tips on how to update your worker's salary. We'll walk you through it step by step. So by clicking next, this tells you where to enter the worker's hours. It outlines the hours in blue. So if you wanted to make a change to the hours, you would do that there. And then by clicking next again, it now tells you where to enter a base salary. And then after you made any updates that you needed to do, you go ahead and click next. So if the worker had housing provided, it tells you where to enter 25% of the base salary. And then click next. It does the same for the housing and utility allowance. So go ahead and click next. And if your worker's salary is going to remain the same for 2021, it tells you how to indicate that by clicking Use 2020 Values, right here outlined in red. Now go ahead and click Next. And then it also provides you a reminder to make sure that you save your work. Right, and then I click Next, and that's it. All right, so next to the Show Me How are videos. And so by clicking on the videos button, you'll see a list of different scenarios you might have. So if you want to see exactly how to indicate you have no changes to report, you would simply just click on that link, and then you'll just be redirected to that video on YouTube. All right, so once you've answered the total employees question, here outlined in blue, taken action on each worker, whether it be use 2020 values, make changes for 2021, or mark them as benefits ineligible, you will see this continue button right here appear in blue. So by clicking continue, you'll then move on to the review screen. All right, so after we did that, you'll see our little tracker got updated here. It checked update because we completed that, and now it's saying we're on review. All right, so the review screen is where you can review the actions you just took on the update screen. All right, so you will see a color next to each worker here in your list. So the gray indicates no change for 2021. Blue indicates a change was made. And red indicates no longer eligible for benefits. And also when there is a pay increase, it will be noted with an up green arrow or an increase in hours as well. And then any decreases will be noted with this down red arrow. All right, so from here, if you need to make any updates, you can still do so by clicking Make Changes. And once you click that, you will just return back to the update screen. And then after you make any necessary changes, you'll go ahead and click Continue again, and then that'll take you back to this screen here. Okay, so from here, I have to do one extra step because I am an internal employee. This won't be on your screen, but I do have to say the employer authorized CPS to make these updates and who provided the authorization. So check that box. And then enter a name. So after I've entered that, I'm able to submit. So the submit button's here in blue. So I'm ready to go ahead and submit this ACR. All right, and after you click that, there will be this message. It's just an opportunity to make changes one last time. And there's a reminder here that after you submit, you are no longer able to make changes and will need to contact CPS for further assistance. So if you're ready to submit your report, you go ahead and click Submit It. And if not, just click Go Back, and you'll go back to the previous screen. All right, so I'm ready to submit. So now that I've done that, you'll see that your 2021 ACR is complete here in green. If you do not see this green check mark, and that message, you did not complete the process. So you'll just want to make sure that you always submit and that you get this confirmation screen. Okay. Below that, you'll also see this message, congratulations, you've completed your ACR. It will provide the completion date and the name of the person that completed it. And below that, there is a confirmation number that you can reference when contacting us. All right, from here, you can print your ACR. This view will change based on what web browser you are using, and it will print to your local printer. As a reminder, Google Chrome is the preferred browser for printing. If, for example, you are using Microsoft Internet Explorer and printing the ACR, only the first page will print. Okay, and you can also email confirmation. All right, so your email address will appear here, and if needed, you can enter additional email addresses. And then all the email addresses, you would go ahead and click send confirmation. And then you'll receive this message here letting you know that the email confirmation has been sent. And then if you happen to be a ministry who is updating the ACR or administering for more than one ministry, you'll see update for another ministry. And then by selecting that, it simply takes you back to the beginning. Okay, and because I am an internal employee, I will see update ACR. However, you will not see that. Again, if you need to make any updates after you've submitted, please contact us. All right, and we also want your feedback. So after you complete your ACR, you will be directed to a survey. By answering a few questions, you can help us improve. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and helps us improve your experience. And based on feedback we received last year, we made those changes for this year. So thank you. All right, and that concludes our live demonstration of the ACR tool. I hope you all found it very helpful. So I do want to discuss some resources that are available to you. Those can be found at concordiaplans.org/ACR. If you visit this webpage, you will find, among other things, links to instructions and examples for completing your ACR, say if you're a dual or multi-parish. We highly encourage employers to go out here, take a look around. There is a lot of helpful information. And then here's a look at a couple of those instructional documents that you'll find there. There's the ACR Online Tool User Guide. And then you'll also find frequently asked questions. All right, and this webinar is not your only opportunity to get your questions answered. Customer care is available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central. You can reach one of our customer care representatives by dialing 888-927-7444. 7526 or email info@concordiaplans.org. Your account managers are also here to help. You can contact your account manager by dialing 888-927-7526. You can also find who your account manager is by logging into your employer portal. You'll see that your account manager's name, picture, direct phone number, and direct email can be found on the right-hand side. All right, so some key takeaways. Completing your ACR is necessary to ensure accurate billing and benefits for your workers. This online tool allows for updating your list of workers with ease. And also there's a lot of resources available to you. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and transition to the Q&A portion. Please remember to use the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screen to ask a question. So it looks like we have a question here. It says, our called teachers have a housing allowance that they choose from their salary. It is not additional pay. It is my understanding that this is not included as housing. Also, teachers that receive addendums to their salaries, the addendum amount is also not included with the salary reported. So I'd like to provide a comprehensive answer to that. So I'd like to follow up with you after the webinar. Please, thank you. Right, so I'm just going to scroll through here to see if we have any additional questions. All right, so we just have a few minutes left. It doesn't look like we have any additional questions. We'll definitely go back through and see if there's anything that we missed, and we'll reach out to you individually to provide answers. Again, recording of today's webinar will be shared, and all the resources will be available to you out on the employer portal. Thank you so much for attending today. I hope it was a great use of your time. Again, if you think of any other questions or need any help with the tool, please don't hesitate to contact us. All right, thank you all.